Alright, so something that's very important to note here is that you are a newcomer to all of this, whereas I've already I've already played through this whole game. I'm completely caught up and I have my pre-order ready for Dawn Trail.
Excited for that release?
Yes, very much.
Gosh, that trailer looks really good. My goodness. Every so often I'll just see like, in the chat about people like watching that new that video that you sent me about like all of like the job um
Oh, the
what was it
new
again? It was
the
called
new job actions,
Yeah, there we go.
all their new spells since the game is now going up to level 100.
hmm That's crazy. Up to level 100. I've always wondered like, okay, as you're waiting for Dawn Trail to finally come here, like where does all your XP go?
It doesn't go anywhere. It goes into the void.
So at that point, would it just be best to go ahead and level up your different jobs and such just to
Yes,
pass the time?
exactly. That's what a lot of the community does.
Okay, that's really good.
Yeah.
'Cause there is certainly a lot of jobs that you could be able to just go ahead and experiment with and just level up to your heart's content. And I feel like that's pretty much like the overall feeling that I have, or rather, not only that I have currently, but especially that I had going into Final Fantasy 14 is just the fact that I thought that this would just be too overwhelming for me because I had never played an MMORPG like this ever. I had never. I'd only ever heard of like World of Warcraft. I've only ever seen that stupid infamous clip of freaking Leroy Jenkins and heard Henry Cavill talk, got the call from Zack Snyder to be Superman, so on and so forth. I never ever thought I would get into a game that is as huge and insanely popular as this. Because holy crap, there is so much to this game than I thought. Wasn't like Final Fantasy 12 kind of sort of like this at one point, or was it 11?
It was 11.
Okay, it was 11.
And 11, specifically on PC, is actually still active. Or at least the servers are still going and there is still a community behind it. But I'm very, very sure they don't receive new content anymore.
But the people there still love playing it.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's one thing about this game too that also like very much surprises me is just the community in here. I don't think ever in the overall journey that I have taken with you to just play through this first expansion of Final Fantasy 14. I don't think we've ever come across a single person that has truly been like toxic.
No.
Whether it be in chat, whether it be like in their gameplay, like I genuinely don't think so. And that's a breath of fresh air. Because in any online game, you always have that expectation that you're gonna run into a donkey just wanting to disrupt everybody's game. And I'm really thankful that playing through this with you, I did not have to experience that. Just good golly, thank goodness. But yeah, like gosh, I still find this game to be incredibly like overwhelming in the sense that I still don't really have I feel like I've barely scratched the surface in terms of what I have seen so far and in terms of like what I can do because I'm still playing on the free trial.
And free
And
trial is very extensive.
yeah, I can't believe how generous Square is with this free trial.
So for a
I
bit
mean, granted,
of so for some context on my end, I remember back in, I think it was like 2017, I actually tried FF14 when the free trial was really garbage. You can go up to a max level of 20, and once you reach 20, there's nothing to do. It wasn't until around. It wasn't until 2020 where that's when they extended the free trial up to level 60. You now get both A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward. That's when I retried the game again, and honestly, extending the trial by that much and being able to experience Heaven's Ward, which we will get to in the future, that just made all the difference for me.
I can definitely see why. Because, heck, my first experience with the free trial, a little bit of a story time. Like me and my brother, we were, uh, I don't know what exactly prompted my brother to just go ahead and be like, you know what, screw this. You know, let's just give it a shot. Because even he hates the overall format of MMORPGs, but I guess just to make it easier on both him and my experiences, we signed up for that free trial. And yeah, it was way before they updated it to where now they're just super generous about it. But our experience going into it, we were playing it on our PS3s.
Oh yeah, when the game was on PS3.
Oh man, like I can't believe how many years ago that was. Like that was literally my first foray into Final Fantasy 14, and it left such a sour taste in my mouth that I genuinely did not want to go back to it. I was so confused about what to do. The overall control layout, um the UI was so freaking confusing. The quests and everything in the world, it just felt like such a steep learning curve. And in the end, like despite how much we tried to get into it, because I think it was during it actually only gave us 7 days, either 7 days or 2 weeks to go ahead and play it. I'm leaning more towards 7 days. We were only able to really play it for like 2 or 3 days because of our like school schedule at that point. And yeah, it was not the best experience, especially when I chose, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Gladiator, Warrior, one of those, or unless they're the same, in which case I'm
No.
very like I chose a starting class that made me start in Ul'dah. Ul'dah already is such a confusing layout. You can already imagine for somebody like me who doesn't typically like this format, um how tough it was to just go ahead and navigate myself through this world. And being able to like try to fight with like the system configuration and try to find some kind of index as to like how to, pull certain menus up, how to read certain things in the UI. It was just so confusing for me. I thought, okay, you know what? This definitely isn't for us. This seems more like a PC experience than it is for console. And I operated under that assumption for like such a long time. And even to this day, I still wonder if it's so much easier for PC players than it is for console players like me.
There's one way to find out. Come on over and
Yeah.
I'll let you play on my account.
Next time, love. Next time. Oh, but wait. I barely ever played on a PC, so uh
Okay,
gosh
but
darn
but
it. I feel like
let's not let's not forget I had you try Fortnite on PC.
No.
Your first ever game of Fortnite on PC.
No.
You won. You are
No.
secretly a master.
No, no. Let me remind you, the dude fell off a cliff
Well, that's his fault.
trying to aim for me. I'm just hiding behind a damn shield, trying to figure out, okay, where's this dude? Where's this dude? I need to make sure that the circle is not gonna get me, and he just falls down. And I said I was going to die within like the first 10 deaths, and I made it to the end.
You
I couldn't
made it to
freaking believe
number
it.
1.
I couldn't believe it. You saw how erratic I was in that game. I had no clue how to freaking sprint, how to aim. I was just running and gunning the entire time. And if that was my experience of Fortnite, gosh darn it, imagine how much harder it could be for me on PC. I just I just can't help but imagine like everything is laid out in a manner that just is a lot faster and a lot
More
more feasible.
accessible.
There you go. Like it would just seem a lot more feasible to actually play it on PC rather than having to like, press so many buttons at a time just to get through like hotbars, just to get to a specific action or something. Just for me to summon a damn a minion, for me to sprint or use any one of my attack actions or something. It's crazy. There's so many menus that I have to navigate through, and even when the game gives you like, tutorials, and they remind you like, oh, you can be able to find this in like the duty tab and the logs tab or in the social tab or whatever. A lot of the times when I try to, find these particular settings, I get lost because there's just so much to look through. And I end up like just losing track because it's so much. It took a very long time for me to integrate myself into this for sure. And I'm still learning. I feel like to a very big degree, I'm still learning. I'm getting there. I'm getting better at it, but I do have to give you a shout out because you have been very patient with me. And I really wanted to give this a shot. I really wanted to, really go through and have fun in, Final Fantasy 14 with this because, yeah, I mean, I want to give this game a shot. I feel like the very first time that I played it on free trial was not the best experience. And having somebody there with me that knows what they're doing, that knows, how to play this, how to navigate everything, made a whole world of difference. And I genuinely don't think I could have enjoyed it as much as I would have if it wasn't for you, like just being there playing with me. So honestly, like, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But like difficulties, like on a technicality level aside, um like as I adapted and really tried my best to understand how this game works, I found it to be a lot more fun than I had anticipated. And it's great because, my first foray into an MMORPG is with Final Fantasy, a series that, once again, you got me into. And once again, I'm very and unbelievably grateful that you got me into it. And so there was certainly a lot more of like this, like a level of comfort because at the very least it's attached to a property, a franchise that I do have some understanding of. So hopefully it would have been easier for me to integrate into that. Now, fully understanding why this game is as well received and massively popular from like not just watching it from a spectator standpoint, but actually being able to get into it and play it for myself. It's awesome. Like, holy crap. This game became the biggest MMO ever, right?
It's one
Like, correct
of
me if I'm wrong.
I as of right now, I believe the two quote unquote best MMOs are still World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, okay. Because I thought that at one point FF14 actually managed to beat out World of Warcraft. But if they're like on par, that still speaks volumes to how freaking cool this game is.
So I do know a few years ago, I believe it was during Shadowlands, World of Warcraft Shadowlands. It was such a disappointment that there was a mass migration from World of Warcraft to FF14.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
Asmongold has like 40 answers, maybe more for that question.
Ooh, buddy.
My general understanding was for Shadowlands was the in-game systems. It was overly, I think it was like overly grindy, and it wasn't even a rewarding kind of grind.
Oh no.
And that and the overall narrative was it was not good. Very much not good.
Bro, that sucks. Man, that is discouraging.
It is.
I can't necessarily say that, this my first foray into MMO, or rather, Final Fantasy XIV has been necessarily grindy, but there are definitely aspects to this that border on that feeling overall. And I have some opinions about that, but go ahead.
So there definitely is, and I think that just boils down to two things. One, we've been playing through a Realm Reborn where some aspects of that of I guess of that time period, like 2011, 2012 when ARR came out. Yeah, so some things about that did not age all that great. And number two, some of that grind is purposely there just so you can level up your alternate jobs, even the crafting and gathering jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I think an infamous example is the Zodiac the Zodiac weapons, which is our what are they? Relic weapon, that's what it is.
Mm.
So ARR, the Aroma Reborn relic weapons are like infamously grindy to the point where you most certainly need to look up a tutorial on it. And it was definitely made. I don't want to say it was made to waste your time, because by that point it was made so that you had something to slowly do while you waited for Heaven's War to come out.
Mm. And how long did it take for Heaven's Word to come out from the release of, well, I'm guessing Heaven's Word came out like after they revamped this game in general, right?
Yes, so it started with Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, which was so bad they literally in the in-game story they literally nuked the world, pressed the reset button, and that's how we got A Realm Reborn, which explains the title, A Realm Reborn. And that was very much a much needed step into the right direction.
Like, just to, like, I guess recap with me, what would you say was like the biggest issue with Final Fantasy XIV's initial release?
Well, I was not there for that, but based on the archive information and even video essays on it, probably the biggest thing was just how unstable the servers were. And that's partially because there were way too many like polygons and textures that the game was trying to render all at once. The server just could not handle rendering all that much.
And how long did it take for them to stabilize and remake all of this?
How long? I don't remember.
Definitely years, right? I'm
Yeah.
gonna go on a limb and say like 3 to 4 years, or maybe not that long. Yeah, because wasn't this game like initially like a 2011, 2012 release?
Let's see, in October 2011, Square Enix announced the game would relaunch as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. The original version of the game, termed version 1.0, received its final update on November 2012. The first expansion, Heaven's Ward, was released on June 23rd, 2015. Stormblood would release in June 20th, 2017. Shadowbringers was July 2nd, 2019. Endwalker was December 7th, 2021.
My goodness.
So generally, every expansion is two to 3 years. I think, well, Endwalker and Dawntrail, these one took 3 whole years because 2020 was quite the year.
In a nutshell, yes, definitely. But goodness, 3 years. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then yeah, I can understand why there are definitely aspects to A Realm Reborn that I do feel were particularly grindy. I just didn't like how a lot of it had to do with the main story.
Speaking of which, how
Yeah,
how was a Realm Reborn story for you?
one hell of a mixed bag.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
um, are we're allowed to talk spoilers here, or just generalization?
I'm gonna say let's talk spoilers because
Okay.
because this is my second time playing through the whole thing. This is your first time playing through the whole thing.
Well, hold on. To preface this, when was the year that you officially like got into Final Fantasy 14 and played through A Realm Reborn?
It was when Square announced that they were extending the free trial to include level 60 and you also get Heaven's Ward, which I believe that was during 2020. And I think around that time the very famous, I think it was 5.3 or 4.3 patch came out because a very let's just say a certain cutscene in post Shadowbringers just had the entire community riled up in a good way. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it was around that time where I retried the game and actually began to enjoy it. Although I still have my gripes with The Realm Reborn.
Of course. And now that I've been able to actually play through it, I can fully understand essentially every one of those gripes. So that's to say that it's more or less within like a recent memory that you have, experienced playing A Realm Reborn for the first time and then coming back to it like what, about 3, 4 years later, more or less.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So,
Okay,
like,
so I
yeah, go
think
ahead.
for context, because we are familiar with the Final Fantasy series, let's get one question out of the way. What Final
Okay.
Fantasy titles have you and I played through?
Okay. Do you want to start or shall I start? Actually, I feel
Um,
like it would probably be more appropriate if you start.
okay. I played through a bit of Final Fantasy 1, did not finish. I played through like the first hour of Final Fantasy 2. No, thank you. I would gladly skip that. Final Fantasy 3 for the Nintendo DS was my very first Final Fantasy, and I completed the whole thing. For I think what most people would say is a rather mediocre title. I still found it very enjoyable, surprisingly. Final Fantasy 4, I actually played I think it was the GBA version on an emulator. I did play Final Fantasy 5. I also on an emulator. I remember not finishing it, unfortunately. 6. 6 is I recommend Final Fantasy 6, definitely. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, play through 7, 8, definitely 9, 9 and 10. Have not tried 11. I have not touched 12 just yet. 13, I don't think I want to touch.
I get that.
Okay, so 14, as I said earlier in this whole conversation, I am completely caught up with 14, which indicates yes, I love this game. And 15, I remember I remember in college, a friend of mine, we got together a little bit of cash. I was working a part-time job, he was on a scholarship. So we set some budget aside to get a PS4, and well, we also need at least one game to come with that PS4. So we ended up picking up Final Fantasy 15. 15 is a whole nother discussion, but to put it simply, we did not finish it.
Okay, I gotcha.
I have Final Fantasy Tactics on my PS3. I need to start that. Um, I did have Tactics Advance 2 on the Nintendo DS. I sunk like over 200 hours into that game. That was amazing. Uh, I did
Nice.
I did play the mobile game Brave Exvius for like probably like a full year. I did not spend a single penny on it. Thank goodness. I was financially disciplined.
I applaud you. I applaud you.
I don't think the Kingdom Hearts games count, but hey, Final Fantasy characters are in there, and I think it's worth at least mentioning something. Point is, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy, both main series and even quite a few spin offs.
God, your resume with the Final Fantasy series is so much more impressive than mine. But there's a reason for that, though. There's a huge freaking reason for that. And that's because of you. In a very, very wonderfully good way. Because for me, I have to admit, yes, I have not played a whole lot of games in the series just yet. I mean, I've started quite a few and I have not actually finished them because for some reason or other, I'm trying to actually go for the damn platinums. And gosh darn it, let me tell you, some of those challenges in each of those games are absolutely horrid. But like you, I'll just go through the list of what I actually have completed. So just to get it out of the way, Final Fantasies 1 through 6. I have not played them. I do have 6 readily available on my PS3. I just have to finally find the time and go ahead and play it. But I am hyped as heck to go and just try it out because it is highly regarded to be either the best in the series or constantly tied with number 7 to be the best in people's hearts and minds for the series.
Understandably so.
So I'm glad that I have access to it because at least now I know one, not to mention the fact that my licenses for those games have not expired on the PS3, so thank God for that. But just that overall hype really and the villain the villain for that game. I want to see what's the deal with him.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII. I have seen a complete, like an absolute complete playthrough of it at one point because I did not have access to the game, but I wanted to know, like, what was like the overall story, what were like the uh, emotional beats with it, because for some reason or other, this game was up there in terms of, either best game or debatably the best game in the series. I have it for myself on my PS3. I am considering purchasing it again for PS4 just for the sake of that trophy list. Um, Final Fantasy 8. Well, that's the second game I played because Final Fantasy 9, that was my first foray into the series by lovely David over here. Um, he is the person that got me into JRPGs in general, and my very first one was with Final Fantasy IX. It was, I have to say, to this day, still the best video game recommendation that I had ever gotten in my life. I had to take a chance with this because I had never played anything turn-based ever. So that was something that I needed to get past because I made a promise. I wanted to actually go through and try my damnness with this game, and it paid off. It was amazing. To this day, I still tear up whenever I hear that freaking main menu music. and I love it to death. I don't care if it continues to have the effect on me. I love it to death. After that, I played Final Fantasy VIII. That was quite the ride. I think that going from a much more simple gameplay from Final Fantasy IX to 8 definitely took a while for me to wrap my head around, but I remember the list that you gave me on how to play Final Fantasy. You described Final Fantasy VIII as a glass cannon, that you're either going to love or hate it. I did love it. I certainly did not hate it, but by golly, a triple triad in that game was that was a wake up call. Gosh darn it.
I love Triple Triad. There's a reason why it's a mini game in 14.
I know. Oh my god. And oh god, what were those Guardian forces again? Oh man, having to work through that all mechanic was just confusing as heck, but that's a whole other thing. After that, I tried going into Final Fantasy X. I'm almost done with that game, but like I said, this is one of those games where for some reason, I'm actually trying to go for the platinum of it, but stupid challenges in that game, the godforsaken lightning dance.
Yeah, I was gonna say the lightning. I don't think it's officially a mini game.
It's not, but it does give you a material that you need in order to get stuff for the next trophies and such. So I freaking hate it. It got so bad that I actually took a hiatus from it, and I'm still taking a hiatus from it because of that damn mini game. I may as well just start over with it and just re visit the story and the characters. Oh boy. So I'm almost done with it. I probably should just go through and, play it for the story and just worry about platinum playthrough another time, but I still love it. I can still say that, from the 3/4 of the game that I have played for that, it's still wonderful. What else? Yeah, Final Fantasy 15. I went ahead, played all of it before that Royal Edition came out. I platinumed it, and it was mediocre for me. I did not enjoy it nearly as much as everybody else did. And this is a Final Fantasy for beginners and such. I just keep thinking to myself, boy, I hate this phrase so much. But oh well. What else? I have Type 0. I started a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Still need to go through and play it.
I have Type 0 in my Steam library.
It's interesting, but I need to actually set time aside to go ahead and play it. It looks fun. It really does. I just, there's so many games in my backlog. I need to, time manage a lot better to, go through and play it. And David, I am so sorry to tell you, but yes, I do technically now have access to the entire 13 trilogy, and I, for some reason, am so morbidly curious. I want to try it. I really do. I'm not sure how to feel about that hybrid combat system, but I might just put myself through hell trying to play this.
All I'm gonna say is I had a similar mindset when I tried to play Devil May Cry 2. It's one of those things where you hear so much negative press about it, you kind of need to just experience it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely me in this case. Also, not to mention the fact that you absolutely hate snow in that game. I remember how much you told me that when back in high school, buddy. I remember. Because your overall discussion about him was hilarious.
Okay, so side tangent. As much as I don't like Final Fantasy 2, at least the story in that game attempt to actually tell a message, and snow is the embodiment of the absolute opposite of that message.
Isn't his like iconic phrase, "That's what heroes do," or whatever?
I think that
Right?
was one of them, but I remember one particular scene where he says it was something along the lines of "Go in, guns blazing, and we come out as heroes," something like that. And I'm just like,
Oh boy.
bruh,
Oh boy.
you're going to war for glory. There are so many games, even outside of Final Fantasy II, who would tell you, no, that's never the goal. Okay, so we are pretty familiar with the Final Fantasy series, and we can see how drastically both similar and different Final Fantasy XIV is. We still got our Moogles and Chocobos. We still got our famous jobs, your black white mages, your paladins, your monks, but the big difference with 14 in particular is well, other than just how the game plays and combat and whatnot, instead of being turn based, it is, I guess you could say, it is real time, but it's not necessarily real time in the sense of like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so of navigate around the environment, maybe even a specific enemy. Just take note of your positioning and press button here, press button there. Make you watch all your cooldowns.
The cooldowns. Oh my god, I can't tell you how difficult it was for me to get used to that.
This is very much an MMO thing, and even to a lesser extent, like MOBAs, like League and Dota, take some inspiration from this, with cooldowns. So you have your global cooldowns and your global cooldowns. So as you've noticed, there's certain abilities where you press your button, all of your abilities are on cooldown.
Yeah.
But there are a few exceptions, and we call those the off global cooldowns. While like 90% of your hotbar is on cooldown, you have probably 3, 4, 5 other buttons or abilities you can use during that, I guess, waiting period, you can call it.
Mm-hmm. Again, something that took me so long to really get used to. Like, yeah, this is the type of combat that I do not really see as like truly interactive, just because essentially every game that I had played, well, not every single game, because this is I lost count of what this game is in my Final Fantasy list of games that I have played, but almost everything before I got into JRPGs was essentially reactive to every single button that I pressed. Having to acclimatize to the timing of when to use certain abilities and when to take it, or rather when to strategize during these cooldowns is, I think, looking back on it, not necessarily difficult to get used to per se, but it felt like I was just going from one end of the spectrum to another end in terms of how interactive I can get with the games that I play. The fact that I have to wait a whole 30 seconds, or heck, even a full minute, just to be able to, like, I don't know, say either return to my home point or to use the freaking jump ability for my Dragoon class and such. It's like, oh my god, why?
Okay, so
This is crazy.
that does bring up something that we should also mention. What class, what job were we playing throughout our time in Realm Reborn? So you and I both picked Dragoon, or Lancer, and then it goes into Dragoon, which
Mhm.
is a damage class. So for damage class, whether melee or caster, knowing your cooldowns for the damage jobs is probably the most important,
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of gets into like not necessarily like a fighting game, but there is a rhythm, there is a muscle memory that you do need to build with it, and especially in higher levels, knowing your what we call a rotation. It's just when the fight starts, just knowing what buttons to press in what sequence, what order. Whereas tanks and healers, it's more simplified. So tanks, they have primarily three, a 1 2 3 combo. It's literally 1 button, 2 button, 3 button, and then healers, it's literally just 2 damage buttons.
Wow, you're saying they don't do just healing?
Yeah, you better not be just healing. As a healer, I mean, you better be doing some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single bit counts.
Overwatch players. So yeah, point being is that for us, since we're playing damage-oriented characters or jobs, we are the ones where I would say we are more so mashing at our controllers at keyboards. Because even so I made a brand new character just to play with you and re-experience all of a Realm Reborn. And on my main character, my main warrior of light, I initially went through the entire free trial as paladin. So from levels 1 to 60, I was very familiar with my 1 2 3 damage combo, and then occasionally I would push some other buttons here and there for damage mitigation. And then I swapped to red mage.
And I'm assuming you enjoyed Red Mage so much more.
I mean, from Final Fantasy III, my very first Final Fantasy game, up until now, red mage has always been like my absolute like favorite class to play in any of these games, especially in tactics. Red mage is so much fun in tactics. So while I was playing the free trial as paladin, I already knew ultimately I want to get to red. I wanted to get to red mage, and I was not disappointed.
I'm still wondering what other classes I want to try out because there's so many options in this game, but I am really grateful for all those options, except for the fact that I have to actually go through all of the expansions to be able to get to them. Because it turns out that the ones that interest me the most, I can't access them immediately.
Okay, which ones are those?
I remember Gunbreaker Machinists were the aesthetic that interested me the most. Samurai I did consider. Obviously, now I know that it is accessible here in A Realm Reborn. But yeah, the other ones can't get to those just yet.
Okay, so machinist. I'm thinking about picking up machinist for this alt character that I have with you. So machinist. Since we completed our Realm Reborn, we're about to enter Heaven's Ward. Machinist, Dark Knight, and Astrologian are specifically are in the next city that we can visit. Yep.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm excited.
And because so this is a bit of a mistake. I'm pretty sure at this point Square's learned is it's okay to have jobs locked off via expansion, but when they're locked off via expansion and location, that's where things may get a bit dicey. Because
Yeah.
because like what we're figuring out is, oh, you want to play machinist. Well, you have to literally wait until you are level 50 and complete the entire A Realm Reborn story just to get to it. And this is on free trial too. Whereas with this new, even further expanded free trial where we get Stormblood, you can get up to You can get to level 50, and by the time you're level 50, you've completed the Reborn story, but located in Ul'dah is both Samurai and Red Mage. You don't need to go to the next big location for the Stormblood expansion. It's literally right there in Ul'dah, a starting city where you probably started the game if you chose Gladiator or Pugilist.
Great. Why couldn't they just put them all in the starting cities?
Well, I don't think they planned. I don't think they planned this far ahead.
But yeah, no, that's just it's another one of those obstacles that I'm just gonna have to overcome in order to make it to the jobs that actually do interest me. Which what, on the flip side, that just is gonna it's more encouragement to just go ahead and explore more of this world. I'm guessing that visiting these cities is mandatory anyway, but say that you are starting this game for the very first time, but you kind of already got like a sense as to like all of the jobs that are available within Final Fantasy 14. At least then it could give you like a goal to work toward, and this is my new goal. I have another job that I am interested in, but I don't want to discount all of the other jobs either, because like you said, free trial technically ends with level 60. I cannot go past that any further.
No, it's level 70 now.
So, oh, 70?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah, you get Stormblood now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Hey, thanks, Dawntrail.
that was their big announcement back at FanFest in Las Vegas.
You mean the big announcement wasn't Dawntrail itself?
Hey. out of the three FanFests leading up to Dawntrail, technically the American one is the quote-unquote worst of the three, but I like to say we are the appetizer.
Appetizer. Oh my god, I love your way of thinking.
I mean, we do get the initial reveal of Dawntrail, but information regarding Dawntrail or the next expansion in general, it doesn't really, I guess, kick up a notch until EU and Tokyo FanFest. So to fill up all that, all the extra time that they have for the convention center here at the Las Vegas FanFest, why not announce some quality of life changes, announce the Fall Guys collab, and that FF14 is coming to Xbox.
Yay! But hey, I guess this means that I have more time to be able to go ahead and level up my Lancer class, or sorry, Dragoon class, and I guess until I actually invest into the Final Fantasy 14 subscription, maybe even use this time to practice with other classes, which I'm totally down for, especially after the newest job action video that you sent, that Square provided. They look so freaking cool. It's just even more further encouragement for me to try them all out. It's great.
Choose your favorite particle effects.
Like, please go ahead. Just watch it. It's so mesmerizing, so pretty, so glamorous. Oh god, why did I say glamorous?
Okay, well then that's something we might end up talking about, but I just remembered since I mentioned the Fallout collab. Great thing about the free trial is that you are allowed to participate in seasonal events. So I guess for context of how long and also how slowly we've been going through ARR, is how many events did we get to do? You were there for the anniversary event where we got the Phoenix mount.
Yes.
Right now is the Yokai Watch event. Actually, they just brought back the Fall Guys event, which we actually missed the first iteration of that. because we were at that point we were taking a break from ARR.
Yep.
What else was there? Oh, we got the Power Ranger suits.
Yeah. That was fun. That was really cute.
I'm trying to remember what else was there.
Do you want to mention the? Well, actually, no. The I was thinking the Final Fantasy 15 and 16
Oh,
collabs.
yeah. How did I forget those? And those were pretty recent.
Mm-hmm. Though this isn't the first time that Final Fantasy 15 came to FF14, right?
No, I think the last time they ran the 15 collab was actually back in 2020. Like we have not seen it for years.
Oh gosh.
It's one of those things where yeah, they'll probably bring it back eventually, but it's not going to be anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. I had fun with it though, except for the final fight.
Oh, for the 15 collab.
Yep. Noctis's ability being integrated into this combat for Final Fantasy 14 was, gosh darn it, it was confusing. I did have to go through that fight a couple of times just to get the hang of it. I will admit that.
I don't think the problem was the ability itself. It was just that you were required to use it at a very specific moment. And there's no in-game prompt telling you what that moment is.
Well, just like my journey, my foray into, say, something like the freaking Soulsborne series, I had to try and fail and try and fail multiple times just to be able to get the hang of it, just to finally understand what it was that I was supposed to do. Still very confusing though. And I was able to have a much easier time understanding how to do the final fight with freaking Final Fantasy 16's collaboration somehow. And that was a lot more um like quick time event based, I would say. But still fun though. I
Mm-hmm.
still very much enjoyed it. So yeah, at the very least, like going back to that point, it's great that, even on free trial, I'm able to, enjoy being able to like do all of these seasonal events with you. Because yeah, if I had to miss out on it just because, like I'm not like a subscriber to this game, I would understand it. Obviously, I would feel bummed out because I can't participate in it with you, but I would understand it. Thankfully, not the case here. And
Yep.
this is just another instance of Square being incredibly gracious to the free trial users. Like, seriously, good golly, they are. Ah, thank you. Thank you guys. Seriously, you are so gracious. In general, I'm just really glad that they revamped the free trial for, this iteration. I still remember my first character that I made like all the way back on my PS3 days, and unfortunately, I was not able to because I believe at a certain point you said that I was actually able to like bring her back into this new version of the free trial. I tried as much as I could, but it would not let me. I don't understand why, but I had to lose that character forever.
Okay, so looking back on it, so when I started my free trial back in I think it was 2017, my character was still there when I came back in 2020. But that's because I was still playing the PC version.
Hmm.
Your character was locked to the PlayStation 3 version, which is no longer active. So I
Yeah,
don't know if that has anything to do with it.
I think that's certainly plausible. I would certainly say that that's like a more than appropriate reason for why I was not able to access her anymore. And besides, because of the fact that, I made a character with this same account, I um I wasn't able to experience that free trial anymore, so on I go to make an entirely brand new PSN account and new registration with Square. And now here I am, actually being able to enjoy the free trial on a separate account. But hey, I have access to this game. So even if I had to go through like, some more hoops just to be able to play this, I'm still glad that I did it because this is a fun game. In the end, difficulties and all, like this was a very fun game. But gosh darn it, those difficulties. God, where do we even begin with the overall like problems that plagued with a Realm Reborn? Like, because we touched a tiny bit on the story and how rough it was.
Okay, so the story of A Realm Reborn, I would describe it as a mountain range, like a hike. Okay, I would split it into 5 segments. There's the introduction. It's very slow, but hey, it's the very beginning, and you are being introduced to the world. So it kind of needs to be slow. So I'm going to say it's the middle of the road. It's fine. It does its job. I would say then we move on to Ifrit. Okay, I thought Ifrit was pretty cool. This is where things started going uphill. And then we get to Titan. Titan was such a nosedive that I began to remember, oh yeah, this is just one of the reasons why I don't like a Realm Reborn.
Can I just say that he looks like a giant meatball?
Yes.
I'm sorry. But if there's one thing that I can absolutely give Final Fantasy 15 over this game, it's Titan's presentation. God, he's a massive disappointment in this. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. Giant meatball, what else can I say?
I
But
mean, there's Titan's smaller form that the summoner can summon, and it looks like a floating chicken nugget.
oh god, no.
After Titan, we go up to part 4, Garuda. Okay, we're going slightly back uphill. I would still say it's not as interesting as Ifrit, my personal opinion. And then we get to Ultima. And Ultima is where I think is where we start getting a bit of a redemption. And like any story, it definitely feels like it's building up to like a conclusion. So again, it does its job. So, for Realm Reborn, for its 5 segments, 5 chapters, whatever you want to call it, 3 of them are pretty middle of the road. They do what they need to do. You have one that's, I think, is genuinely good, and then you have one that is just very lackluster. Maybe a bit more than lackluster. I can't even find the correct word to use.
I feel like you are being unbelievably generous when you say lackluster. But sure, we'll go with that.
Because the thing with Titan, and we're talking about spoilers now,
Yeah.
the thing with Titan is that you are sent on a goose chase. Not even a goose chase. You're doing somebody's grocery shopping. Hey, we need you to get this rare meat. We need you to get this expensive wine. And then there was a third, and I can't remember if there was a fourth item, but you're just going all over the place, and you set up frickin' dinner.
Yeah.
Only to be told, oh, hey, this is a celebration for you before you go fight off Titan. Yeah, sure. I think it would have been better if you if you just said, "Oh, hey, here's your last supper just in case."
I would have much rather preferred that than them saying, it's like, this is all meant for you. Celebrate! Because you're about to fight with us company of heroes on, you know, facing off against Titan. I'm just like, I wanted, I can't, I remember my reactions quite well to every one of them. I wanted to slap the crap out of them.
It says a lot that even in game, Y'shtola, who was there for a significant portion of it, Even she comments how she really doesn't think that banquet was for us. I'm curious to know if that dialogue from Yashtola was still in the Japanese script. Because at some point the writing team, whether it be the initial Japanese writers or even the English translators, I'm pretty sure at some point they realize, okay, this scenario is just ridiculous.
I wish they didn't include it because it ended up being such a massive waste of time. I just because as you and I were playing through it and you were, like keeping track of all of the quests that we needed to get through in order to get to the next expansion, or just the end of A Realm Reborn and then the post expansion content, which we'll get into later. Um, we were just thinking about ourselves and just voicing out, God, when are we gonna get to the good stuff? Why do we have to do this stupid fetch quests? This is literally killing the momentum of like my overall anticipation for facing Titan, because at that point, with these different designs for each of these primals, I wanted to see, like, I wanted to actually be able to go through and play what these what fighting these bosses were going to be like.
It doesn't help that Titan is after Ifrit, and what we learn from Ifrit is, oh hey, here is a tribe of another species who plans to kidnap and group up mass amounts of people for human sacrifice.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, we actually have, I don't know if agency is the word, but we have motivation. We have a reason to go out and actually thwart someone's plans. And then we get to grocery shopping for Titan.
I mean, yeah, there is technically the initial threat of the local tribes in how do you pronounce it again? La Nosnia or something? Remind me again how you pronounce that overall
Lano,
region.
what Lanose?
There we go, Lenoste. God, my pronunciation was always off, but again, the initial threat of them summoning a primal to effectively strike against Limsa Lominsa, yes, that threat is very real, and we know the damage that can be done because of the setup that Ifrit's, overall arc gave us. But again, this unnecessary inclusion of these company of heroes and uh their fetch quests to gather all of these ingredients for a freaking banquet, this felt comical. I don't know if that was like actually the intention on the writing team to like include a little bit of humor into this, but this was like the wrong place to do it. You
Yeah,
don't you never ever put in something funny when you are supposed to deal with a potentially world ending threat.
unless you're Saitama, One Punch Man.
Okay, but that's an actual satire. That was the
Yeah,
intention
yeah.
everywhere. Not this. This was just it killed it for me. Like, good golly, what were they thinking for this? If this is one of those really dated things that you mentioned, just did not um it just did not age very well. And I can definitely see why.
Well, A Realm Reborn was received well, and over time we are seeing that yeah, not everything about it has aged all that well.
It certainly wasn't one of them. Because like even as you get over to the Ixal tribe and them trying to summon Garuda, it's still very confusing because again, you had just finished the Titan Primal arc and that just left me so utterly confused and frustrated that even as we move into a new chapter, it felt rushed this time around. I don't know if you felt the same way, but there was something about that threat that just it felt like there wasn't enough time brewing to really make me. understand the gravity of that overall situation, you know? Like it like here's another primal and boom.
And here's how bad Titan was for me. It was so bad that it got to the point I wasn't even reading the dialogue anymore. And even going into Garuda, I was still just mentally checked out.
And no, this isn't just because you already played through the expansion. No, you're revisiting it after, a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like mentally checked out. What do I care at this point?
And for context, no, we did not do Titan and Garuda in one day.
No.
In fact, I'm trying to remember, did we take our first proper break after Titan?
I want to say yes.
Because the community always recommends for newcomers, especially with a Realm Reborn, take your time. And, well, this is just kind of one of the reasons for it. Because the overall narrative and pacing is just kind of all over the place. To where, especially for Titan, it feels just comically bad.
Definitely.
It almost feels like you're kind of just wasting your time almost.
Not almost, you are wasting your time with the build up to Titan.
But I always say, if you can get through a Realm Reborn, congratulations. It only goes uphill.
You kept telling me that almost every step of the way. And that's
Yeah.
precisely what I needed to get through this slog of poor pacing and absolutely dumb comical writing for whatever these fetch quests were supposed to be for. It only gets better from here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kept me going.
But before we can get to Heaven's Ward, we still need to get through a post Realm Reborn.
Mm-hmm. Which I will say, I will say, like before, like we actually go into the post-Rome Reborn content, the overall ending, like with the Garlean Empire, how did you feel about that? Like, was it a proper conclusion? Did it feel rushed? Did you feel like satisfied with that overall?
I'm gonna say both then, my first time playing through it, and even now, my answer would still be no. And I don't think it's because of bad writing, so to say. It's because I already knew these people were going to come back. It's like this is only part one for this character or these set of characters. Like I already know you guys are going to come back. I've watched enough. I played enough JRPGs and I watched enough anime to know where this is going.
Do you think that like that overall like affected your enjoyment of the, I guess you could say, the final part of A Realm Reborn before uh its post Realm Reborn content?
I don't think so. It definitely did not ruin the enjoyment, but I wouldn't say it heightened it either.
I feel like it did its job. I wasn't necessarily blown away from by it. I certainly was not um happy about the fact that there were unskippable cutscenes within the final fight. It like even to this day, if you wanted to play it as a dungeon or a raid or however you call it,
Yeah.
you still had to go through all of that all over again just to be able to, make it to the end. But yeah, I feel like and just in simple terms, it did its job. It was not necessarily a satisfactory conclusion or anything, but it was something of a proper conclusion for this first expansion, at least. And I thought, okay, great, because before learning of the fact that there is actually more missions to do within A Realm Reborn, I thought this was pretty all right. But then the post content comes around and
Post-Rum Reborn, where do we begin?
yeah, that sigh says it all. We'll still explain it, but that sigh should say it all.
There's only one thing in Post-Rum Reborn that I liked, and that was the Crystal Tower raids, the Alliance raids.
Mm-hmm. That, I have to admit, was where, for some reason, I legitimately got lost. Because up to that point, we had been playing, like the light parties, dungeons and such. All well and good.
And the final dungeon for A Realm Reborn, that Garlean military factory or whatever, that was like the first proper 8-man dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
But here now we get up to, what is it, 24-man dungeons for the Crystal Tower raids.
Yeah. And this is the point of the game where I really had to fight with the freaking UI.
Oh yeah, no, I
Jesus
don't blame you.
Christ.
I don't blame
Jesus
you
Christ. Oh my
because
God.
at that point, because you get a few extra not hot bars. You get some new indicators, so you can keep track of your team and then the 2 other teams that are also with you. So that, yeah,
Yes.
there definitely is some UI clutter there, but thank goodness, 14, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other MMOs out there, there is a lot of customization options for how you want to relocate and resize parts of the UI.
And see, the very first time that we went through it, that was the absolute rude awakening for me. Because at that point, I had gotten comfortable with my overall setup because, I didn't have to keep track of so many people. Like even like, going from 4 people to 8 people, that was okay. But freaking like 24 people on screen, so many names, so many particle effects, and the elements on screen, they were so obnoxiously huge. It blocked my vision for every single freaking fight that we went into. I was lost. I had no idea what to do. And even if I wanted to go ahead and try my best to customize this stuff, everybody was moving at such a quick pace that I just had to just bear it and go through and play with my absolute horrid UI setup.
So yeah,
I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
you were trying to fix the UI literally as you were doing it.
Because I didn't know. I didn't know that this was what we were going to be getting into, that there would be this many new elements on screen that I needed to keep track of. Obviously now I know better. Now I have like an entirely new setup for that if we ever do go into such a huge alliance raid for that. But like I said, back then it was a very, very rude awakening. I still had fun, like with the overall progression of like the dungeons and such. It's just the actual need to acclimatize to the change in UI that initially bothered me so much. It's better now. It's better, but wow. My initial experience was not great.
I will say that because there's 24 people, being down to 23, and you wanted to sit back and readjust your UI, I would say there's no problem. Just sit back and relax. We still got 27 people. We can function with, we can very much, everybody can function with one less person.
See, but this is a genre where, like the Leroy Jenkins situation, I just kept thinking to myself, if I mess up, if I am not there present, I mess it up for everybody.
Okay,
Like one.
there's only very specific raids and dungeons where that is the case.
Please tell me that they are like in Endwalker or something.
Yes.
Okay, great. Because I imagine that by that point you have to be perfect.
Close enough.
Oh, just close enough. Great. That's a relief.
Close enough to the edge to where you don't fall off the platform.
Okay, great. I will let my tingly fear of heights just balance me out. Wonderful.
General rule for raiding, whether it be alliance raids or 8-man dungeons, if one person dies, it's not that terrible. You can easily recover from that. It becomes problematic when like half of the team wipes.
There have been times in which that has happened, and it has gotten pretty hilarious. In one instance, you can just see so many people's health bar just go from white to all black. Their lifeless bodies are there on the floor.
Yep, not enough resurrections to go around.
Either you wait or you go back to the beginning. I'm just like here waiting while I'm watching all these particle effects on screen. Like, I'm having the time of my life.
That does remind me, I believe on console, you are default to have the particle effects set to limited. Do you remember seeing
Like,
that
what?
setting?
Now you got me curious.
Yeah, there is a setting for particle effects. You can set them to everything limited so that you can only see your party's particle effects, or you can literally set them to none, which I think you only see your own. Generally, you want them set to limited because if your healer drops like I don't know, like an AoE healing zone that you should be standing in it, yeah, you would want to see that. One of my friends who plays 14, he decided to test out his new PC components by literally setting the particle effects to all. And my goodness, that was the equivalent of a nightclub. There was just so many flashing lights, you couldn't see anything.
That's insane. There's a part of me that wishes I could be able to see just a hint of that, but I'm too afraid. So I'm not. I think I'm good now. This is so interesting. Now I wonder where I can be able to find that particular setting.
There's like two different like setting menus. There's
Yeah,
like
for
there
the system and for character.
Yeah, system and character settings. Yeah, there's a lot of customization,
That
but
was very confusing for a first timer like me, and
don't
still
worry.
is confusing.
Don't worry. There's still certain things, certain like settings I still haven't touched, or I did touch because I was trying to do something particular, but I just made something worse. Like there is an option where I can hold down a button and I can literally remove every single player's name from the overworld, so I can literally just have it to be my character name and then the NPCs. It's really useful when you're trying to click on the NPC to talk to them. But I messed up somewhere so that it removes my name, and the 30 plus people around me are still surrounding the one NPC that I need to talk to.
Oh boy.
And in attempt to click to the one NPC that I need, I accidentally click on like 4 different other players.
I have to admit that happens to me too.
Yeah,
Is it by any chance, is it battle effects settings?
I think it is. Wait, are you in the game right now?
Yes. I'm looking at my settings and oh my god.
So, how much do you like Final Fantasy
Um,
XIV? Yeah, I like it so much that I'm going to talk about it and play it at the same time.
oh no, I'm not playing it. My character's just an idle animation right now. I'm literally looking at what's it called? The canopy in Gridania from like a weird elevated vantage point. That's it. That's just my background right now.
Ah, okay.
My character's meditating. Enjoying the view. But anyways, going back over to the battle effect settings. You said it was either show everything or show limited, right?
Yeah,
Guess what?
you have it set to everything.
I had it set to everything.
Wow. So, so you did get to experience the absolute rave party.
Every time.
I swear, if you keep that setting on, you're gonna be wearing like 4 pairs of sunglasses.
Oh my god. Just so everybody knows, I'm the silly one.
Yes, very silly.
Gosh, I love this game.
I can tell.
Now I'm curious for the show limited. How how much of a difference does that make? But I don't know, maybe I'll test that out later. Going back over to our overall, I guess, feelings of post Realm Reborn content. Remind me, does that have equally as much missions as the main story for Realm Reborn, or just slightly under the mission count?
I can pull up the quest list.
Because there were definitely so many times that we played through all of that that I genuinely began to wonder, okay, are we playing like just like a full on part 1 and a part 2, or was this genuinely supposed to be a short epilogue, because this did not feel short at all to me. But once again, just as much as we had like that overall issue with all those stupid quests that we had to complete in order to make it to the final fight with Titan, so too does a post launch, or sorry, post content of Rome Reborn have all of those issues. But sometimes I want to say tenfold. There was just so much unnecessary things to do in this world that I have to wonder, okay, were they really just trying to pad it out for the sake of giving you more quests to level up your character, or like did initially this have some kind of an actual uh, reason, like an actual like legitimate reason to be included within the main story itself?
Okay, so I got the numbers. So for the Realm Reborn main story, it is 160 quests. And then for post Realm Reborn, it used to be 100, but they took out 20 of them.
You're telling me it could have been worse?
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay. Thank God we did not play it when it was worse.
Everyone that I have spoke to, post Realm Reborn, those 80 quests, they can still dumb it down. They
Mm-hmm.
absolutely can.
They can.
Okay, so for comparison, let's look at Heaven's Ward. Okay, Heaven's Ward main story is 94, and post Heaven's Ward is 44. So it is overall much less, but I would say from my own experience it's more focused. At no point do you feel like you're just doing random yada yada for the sake of just doing it, for the sake of padding out the game time.
Well, thank goodness for that, because I got that sense way too often with this one. I really don't like how very often I would say that, it did affect my overall enjoyment of it, because I really wanted to try to give this, like the benefit of the doubt, especially with this being like the first expansion and you telling me like, oh, it only gets better from here. But good golly, it is definitely a chore, but an overall journey just to be able to like go ahead and make it into Heaven's Word. And just like the overall hype that had been building up to that point is effectively what kept me going. But yeah, they really could have trimmed down so much
Yeah.
from this. I can already name a few examples. And most recently, just having, us finished A Realm Reborn a few days ago, the whole Tataru side quests or whatever you want to call it,
Oh, where she tries to become an Arcanist.
unnecessary. I suppose I suppose that they were trying to, like give her a little bit more not necessarily screen time, but like just trying to like actually build her character, because technically in the main story you don't really know a whole lot about her other than the fact that Memphilia swears up and down she's like the greatest receptionist of all time or something. But it just seems weird. The only reason why I can understand, maybe actually understand why they had to include it, is just because of the fact that she is now, well, I'm guessing, going to be a more integral character for the start of Heaven's Ward, with the ending cutscene, the way that they ended it to go into that next expansion. She's one of the people that ends up comforting Alpha Node after, this whole ordeal with mess that happened at the end of this.
Okay, one more good thing I can say about Post Realm Reborn, that ending cutscene. It was may have been a 1 hour long movie, but gosh darn, it ended with a bang.
Mm-hmm. That it did. Thoroughly enjoyable to watch. I will definitely say that.
I wish the main story and even the post story was this interesting all the time.
Nailed it. The Sultana was so cute. I'm gonna miss her. I still don't understand her dress though.
I don't either, but I'm pretty sure you can't even get that as a glamour.
Wow.
Because I know Thancred's outfit you can get as a glamour. Alphino and Alize's outfits are glamours. I don't remember if Yashtola's original outfit is is a glamour, but I do know her new outfit for Shadowbringers, that is a glamour, but it requires money.
Of course. What about Memphilia's outfit?
I think I'm pretty sure that one you can get.
Oh, okay. Also, I find it hilarious how with Memphilia, is it just me, or is she kind of the embodiment of tell, don't show?
Very much.
Yeah, because all of the people in the Scions, they are all capable fighters. But then you get to Memphilia and you have to wonder, okay, can she actually fight, or what is her role here aside from being the leader?
I have
And
thought about that as well, and I find it very strange because in the gotcha game, Brave Exvius, Memphilia has a dagger with her, which was never present in the actual game.
no, I'm thinking about that and no. And not to mention the fact that she will like openly state how much, she needs you, the warrior of light, and how lost she can be, like how like it really is all of these little things that add up to the overall opinion that I have of her, that in the end she really does seem to be just all, you know, tell and never show. It's disappointing because I honestly was expecting more from her. Like even in this first expansion, I was expecting more from her. And her sacrifice, if you will, at that ending cutscene meant nothing to me.
No, it definitely didn't.
I can't necessarily say that, like with Gistola, Thancred, Papalimo, and Yida. Like obviously now with so many expansions, like it doesn't really matter too much about their fates, because I'm just operating under the assumption that we're gonna see them regardless. But even so, like for them, I can kind of, still get something of a sense that, okay, they are like an actual danger, and you can actually feel for the situations that they find themselves in, like sacrificing to let you get away. But Minfilia, I just could not give a damn about. And I have to wonder why. Why is it that in this entirety of this expansion, the leader of the organization that I'm officially a part of that swears to safeguard Eorzea, the leader, I don't give much of a damn about. Like, I genuinely cannot really care about what happens to her other than the fact that, like, the story wants me to for some reason.
And yet the story only convinces me that Alphino would have done a better job.
Mm-hmm. Because at least the dude is actually going forth to all of these different nations to bring them into, fighting together, banding together against the Garlean Empire, against the Primals, convincing them that they should, help fund and organize a neutral force that can, help with every single, country in this world and not just be tied to any one organization and such. Like, he's actually, like, for all of his self-doubt as to whether or not he wanted to either do this for himself or he actually wanted to do this to help save the world, at least he was doing something. He was putting himself out there. He's a great diplomat. And Philia, is it just me, or did you also get the sense that she was just kind of complaining the entire time, like, oh my god, why do I have to go to this party and such? Like, oh, I guess we should. This is probably one of those sacrifices that we need to make. But it is so. Is it too soon after Moonbreeda's death or whatever? Woman, I have to sit through all of these cutscenes of you talking to me, you spilling your thoughts and feelings onto me. I have no choice but to listen. You have no choice but to go to this freaking party. Get up and go.
Now.
Please. Get up and go to that party, dagnabbit.
And well, she did.
Yeah, she certainly was not expecting any of what happened to happen.
Nope.
Neither was I, for that matter. Dagnabbit, we were puppets. The damn poison bottle was on us the entire time. Why didn't we just get rid of it? Why did we keep it?
Wasn't because we went to the last known location of another character,
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure we kept it as a clue as to where they were, what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. I think that the last thing that you do before actually meeting up with the Sultana is the talking with the proprietress of the Adventurers Guild in Ul'dah, and that's where she tells us, like, oh, I have no idea what this drink is, but hey, don't keep me, or rather, don't let me keep you waiting, or keep the Sultana waiting, and so on and so forth. And then I guess that's how you just keep the bottle. If even she doesn't know anything about it, why not just throw it away? But no, you go ahead and implicate yourself in a freaking assassination against the Sultana of Ul'dah. Wonderful. Now we have a perfect segue into freaking Heavensward. We are fugitives on the run, and now we could be able to actually use Ishgardian, how do you call it? Their famous cold shoulder against every other Eorzean country here.
Yeah.
Give a safe uh, asylum. Great. I love how it just transitions straight into that. It's like, oh, hey, for once, our unwillingness to talk to others is gonna help you guys out. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, at least they were able to talk to us, a select few individuals. And we
Yeah.
and we helped solve out some of their problems.
but it's because we solved out some of their problems that now we are such good friends with them. What did we have to do? Fight dragons! Awesome. I got so nervous at that final fight with the dragon. It's like everyone's just burning, and here I am, the only person that's dealing damage. Oh my gosh. It's like, please, just let me dwindle down his health faster. My friends, my allies are literally burning to death. I can see their freaking uh, words on screen. Oh my
We
goodness.
finally succeeded.
I'm sorry, guys. You probably were all in pain, but I did it. I did it.
Don't worry, we have white mages for a reason.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. This is something that I think you wanted to also like showcase, but yeah, like I guess there is actually instances in this game where depending on your vocation and the characters you meet, you can actually get different dialogue.
Oh yeah, when we met up with the Stinian at the very end, or towards the end.
That wonderful son of a biscuit. Like I even asked you like, "Hey, does he address you like he knows you?" And you were like, "Wait, what? Are you far ahead into the dialogue or something?" Because I did not get that. I'm like, no, he literally talks to me like he knows me. Like he remembers the damn fight that I had with him, God knows how long ago into the expansion.
Yeah, because well, we were initially both Dragoon, and even in the Dragoon quest line, we did meet up with the Stinian. But at some point, I swap over to Samurai because at that time I was also playing Devil May Cry 3, and I was a bit of a Virgil fanboy at the time.
Totally, totally understandable, by the way.
So during that cutscene, I was in my samurai job, so I did not get the specific dialogue if you were as a dragoon.
Thankfully, I did, and I saved it because it was wonderful. Like, yeah, you better remember me. You gave me quite the trouble, didn't you? You emo son of a biscuit. I don't know why. I did not associate him with the Ish Guardians. I was like, wait, what? I thought you were just here in the world. I didn't know that you were part of the loners up north. Okay, great. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, and you will learn why the title of Azure Dragoon is such a big deal.
I look forward to that. I think that just overall with A Realm Reborn, I'm I'm happy that we came out of our gosh, I'm not even sure how many months it took for us to finally move past the whole Moonbrita quest line to finally end it and then make it to the end of like the true end of A Realm Reborn and then going into Heaven's Ward. Because it had definitely been so many months up to that point. But I'm really glad that, we went back into it, we finished it, and you and I get to be able to reflect on it because this despite the numerous problems that I had just with the presentation and the pacing of Aromaborn, I don't this is definitely going to be something that I do not regret going through because it's given me my first experience with this type of game with an MMORPG in a universe that I do actually know about, thankfully, but just with a new story, a new medium to be able to experience it in. And the fact that there's going to be even more interesting stories progressing with it's Murmurborn, Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and then Endwalker, and then when
Duh.
if and when I get around to it, Dawn Trail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, like this is just legitimately awesome, and I am very very grateful to you for convincing me to try it out because This was fun. This
Uh,
was definitely a lot of fun. If I'm gonna have even more fun with the next expansions, I am ready for it. Bring it on.
Gladly.
And I'm assuming that for you, despite having, come back to this like a few years later, replaying this first expansion, nothing's changed, right?
Nope.
Nothing that you can appreciate more, nothing that has made this game seem just a little bit better in your eyes.
Nah, the ending cutscene is consistently good. It was fun to watch the first time, and it was still fun to watch this second time.
There you have it, folks. The best part about Aroma Born was the end.
Yeah, it is a good end.
Agreed.
for 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 all the for all the people who say, "Oh, it gets good it gets good at Heaven's Word," or just get to Heaven's Word. Nah. Let's take one tiny step back. Just get to the final cutscene for Post Rome Reborn.
And then that's where the fun begins.
Very much.
Like I said, dude, I am looking forward to it.
With you.
I'm with you. I never thought I would ever play an MMORPG, but here I am. Just another great video game recommendation because of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we will eventually be back to talk about Heaven's Word. But first, we need to play through it.
Indeed. And I'll let you all know if it really is as good, if not tons better than Aroma Born, which I'm assuming it most likely is. If this is the low point and it only gets better from here, oh man, the anticipation is gonna be it's there. And I'm excited as heck.
Then let's get started.